Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the 2021 now version of the Crispy Noodle podcast. Whether it's a pandemic, whether it's my laptop still in the repair shop, whether it's Armageddon, we are still ready to give you an episode fresh with news in sports, entertainment, and odd news, a crispy meal for your mind every week. Once again, apologies. My laptop is still being serviced. So unfortunately, we're running with another visually bare bones episode. But when it still comes to the show content, we've got news to talk about. So we're not going to let a silly thing like graphics and laptop malfunctions and a pandemic.
No, sir. We're still serving up the very best here.
That's right. We're not going to let any of those things stop us. So
That's right.
we still are here giving you an episode. Thank you guys for joining us. Before we get to all the topics at hand, Mike, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. You know what I finally decided to dive into, and some listeners will be happy to hear this. It's been recommended to me over and over and over again from like multiple different people. I finally decided to give in and start watching Doctor Who, the revival series, the one from the mid 2000s and onward, because nobody wants to start back with the 50s and 60s. Nobody's got time for that. So I've been watching it it's on HBO Max. I started with my girlfriend said, just start with season 2 because that's the better Doctor than the season 1 Doctor. So I watched a few episodes of season 1, and now I've watched all of season 2 and part of season 3. And I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. It's very campy sci-fi, very highly serialized. Like each episode is very I don't want to say standalone because there is still an overarching plot. But each episode, there's like a new villain, a new, obstacle that they have to overcome. It's its own little nice bite-sized morsel. And as I was watching one episode, it dawned on me what the tone and the vibe of the show reminded me of. It reminded me of the Power Rangers, where every episode there's like a wacky, like cartoony like villain. All the villains are like, the costumes are all like made out of like, you could tell it's not the highest production quality in those early seasons, so it just has that very campy, fun, sort of zany sci-fi vibe to it. That's not to say there isn't drama. There's a little bit of that, but it definitely, its identity is campy, zany sci-fi. So it's just a good time. It's not setting any records for like, winning, best drama, Golden Globes or Emmys, but it's a fantastically fun little sci-fi series. So I highly recommend it. I'm always like weird during these segments. I always recommend things that have come out like a decade ago, because I'm always so late to the party discovering these.
Can I give you a fun fact on something you said?
Yeah. What?
You mentioned Power Rangers. Did you know that the Power Rangers call sign and the theme to Kim Possible is the same?
Do. That?
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah. It's the same exact melody.
That's crazy.
Put that in your brain. You never know. You might need that fun fact at some point.
That's a useless piece of trivia that will definitely come in handy down the line somewhere.
Yeah. Here you go. The Crispy Noodle Podcast.
There you go. The more you know, these public service announcements of useless trivia. Speaking of Power Rangers, do you remember Power Rangers, Rich?
Yes. I actually watched an episode like 3 weeks ago.
Really? Like, wait, of the original or a new one?
Yeah, I watched Rachel's nephew wanted to watch it, and I was like, yeah, sure, put that on, as opposed
to, of course,
BS stuff on, I don't know, there's one with a dog.
There's one with a dog. What are you like even talking? Man. You are an old man.
There's some show with a dog. I don't know. It gets boring. Like the first 2 minutes, I'm out. Like I don't care.
Is this a cartoon? You're just some show with a dog. That's so many shows, Rich.
No, but it's like a kid's show, and like the dogs run.
Like down. Blue's Clues?
No, it's not Blue's Clues. I know what Blue's Clues is. I don't know. It's like Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol.
Paw
Oh,
Patrol. It
I've
came
heard
to
of
me.
that one. I've heard
Yeah.
of that one.
That
Okay.
I lose interest in like 2 minutes on that show. So when he was like Power Rangers, like yes, put on Power Rangers.
You're like, please, for the love of God, Power Rangers.
Yeah. So yeah, I watched the pilot episode and it was like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it was pretty cool to
Oh, man.
rewatch it.
Yo, those old shows. I'm gonna go rewatch Power Rangers now. Now that I'm talking about it and hearing you talk about it, it's got me in the mood for Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so I've been watching Doctor Who. You've been watching Power Rangers. Have you been doing anything else recently, Rich?
I guess the show that I randomly started getting into, and this was also due to Rachel, I finally am into Sherlock, the BBC show.
Okay. Yeah, BBC shows Doctor Who, Sherlock. It's
Yeah,
very
I thought it would be a good tie-in. Here you
yeah.
go. I initially didn't want to get into it because all of the episodes are like 90 minutes long.
Oh. Yeah, but isn't there only like 3 episodes or
But
something?
yeah, that's the trade-off is like basically it's not really a TV show. It's more like 3 mini movies.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, like it's not it doesn't play out like a TV show. It plays out more like a dramatic film.
Interesting.
So that was like kind of like the way I had to look at it was they're kind of more movies than they are TV shows. And I've been having a blast with it. I'm halfway through season 2 and I'm chugging through when I can because again, they are 90-minute episodes, so it's like
Right.
you gotta
You have to
some
block
time.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I love Martin Freeman.
That's a great cast right there.
Yeah, right there, I was like sold, perfect. And there's a couple of other celebrities that show up, and I won't want to mention who because on the off chance that you watch it, you might guess what one of them ends up being.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. So yeah, we're BBC Corner to start off the show. I don't know how that happened, but it did.
We're going back to America's roots. We're British colonies now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, plenty of great, the BBC is one of those things that you don't, at least I don't really think about all that often in terms of like watching their shows, but they're always so well received and critically acclaimed. I mean, whether it's Doctor Who or yes.
Another update, speaking of BBC, Peaky Blinders officially going for season 6. They started shooting this week. So yeah,
what does that have to do with BBC?
It's a BBC show.
I thought it was a Netflix show.
Well, Netflix.
Just distributes it.
Correct.
Oh, I didn't realize. There you go, another BBC show that has widespread critical acclaim. So, if you're ever looking for a show that's a little bit different, BBC shows I've found have always had a different flair to them. You know what I mean? They have their own distinct like style sometimes.
Yeah.
Damn Brits.
Yay, BBC. Keep going.
Yay, BBC. There you go.
We love you. We love you in America.
Why? I don't. Okay.
We're just putting it out there.
We're just putting it out there that we love the BBC. Okay.
Yeah. How about we get to sports so that we're not so cheerful anymore? Let's lower the mood.
We gotta take it down a notch. We can't be too happy.
We're flying too high. We have to stop.
Yeah, we got to clip our wings before we fly too close to the sun. And what better way to do that than by talking about another winged animal? The Philadelphia Eagles here have their head coach search underway. They've interviewed, I think at the time of this recording, 8 or 9 different candidates ranging from offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators to running backs coaches and linebackers coaches. They're scouring every nook and cranny for who they believe will be the best fit. And I figured the best way to do this is we're not going to talk about every candidate. That's insane. But just to cover some of the bigger names, where we think they might go and, talk about our opinions on some of these people, because I know one of the first big names, and from what I understand, the rumors seem to indicate that the Eagles are leaning in this direction, is Josh McDaniels, which a lot of people, including it seems Rich, don't seem that happy about.
Personally,
so what's going on? You don't like the pick?
Personally, I don't, just because Josh McDaniels comes from the Patriot system, and I don't want the Eagles to
no Belichick coaching tree member has
Yeah.
gone on to great success. I mean, look at Matt Patricia in Detroit, right?
Yeah. It
Didn't
just
do well.
doesn't seem to work out for the Bill Belichick coaching tree. Uh,
No.
and Josh McDaniels, we already have an idea of how he would coach because he
Mhm.
had 2 seasons with Denver and he got fired. Uh,
Yep.
the
And
only
then
way
didn't he try didn't wasn't he about to take a head coaching job somewhere else and then he decided that last second, you know,
Colts,
yeah, never mind. I don't want to do it. And now look what Frank Reich did over there. Yeah. So it's weird how things work out that way. So,
yeah,
and all that puts you off. The Belichick coaching tree, the
it does personally, but here's the thing that makes sense with Josh McDaniels, and I think why he's a strong candidate is the fact that you could use him as the lightning rod to get rid of beloved players. Look, we know that this is coming down the pike. Mike, you
Mhm.
said it before in
Yep.
previous shows. We're going to have to start getting rid of people that we
It
love. We're going to have
it's
to
an
start
old expensive roster.
right. We're going to have to start getting rid of Super Bowl heroes.
Yeah.
And what better way to do it than with a head coach that has shown a history of first off being obviously with the Patriots, but also in his time being a head coach, his style was I don't care if you're a star. If you remember in Denver, he traded away Jay Cutler, he traded away Brandon Marshall. I said that to a cousin of mine and he laughed in my face about Jay Cutler, but you forget at the time Jay Cutler was a decent quarterback.
He was the quarterback there. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was the quarterback and he was putting up decent numbers. And Brandon Marshall too was productive for them for a long number of years. And yeah, sometimes you need that executioner type head coach that's going to come and be like, look, what have you done for me lately? You know, it's
right.
great that we have all this sentimental attachment to some of these players, but you know, like we kept Darren Sproles on the team 3 years too long. Same thing with Jason Peters, you know, maybe Zach Ertz now, you know. So yeah, I completely agree. That wasn't something that I considered, but he's definitely the type of coach that would not hesitate to really be aggressive in trimming the fat with this
Correct.
team.
If Josh McDaniels gets hired, every Eagles player is on the chopping block. That's that's what I would expect if he does get hired.
Yeah. It also makes sense because Josh McDaniels will probably have a lot more connections in the league. And part of bringing on a head coach is not just the head coach, but also in the staff that they have envisioned, you know, to build around them. You know, the essentially the people attached to the head coach, right? Because they would have to bring in their OC and their defensive coordinator, and they would have to bring in their own, you know, coaches where they see fit. And being an offensive minded coach, it also helps with this struggling offense, you know, maybe in righting the ship that was Carson Wentz's disastrous 2020 season. So there's a lot of benefits there that I can see the Eagles being interested in. And of course, the negatives there as well. We don't have an example of a Patriots coaching tree member going on to great success. And a lot of times people attribute that to Bill Belichick running that ship so tightly and being such, you know, involved in every aspect of the game that the coordinators don't really have to do anything other than, you know, a little bit of personnel management here and there. You know, it's Bill Belichick's show. So we'll have to see. That's the leading candidate, but there are others getting some buzz as well. This one just happened today. Colts offensive coordinator, if I could talk, Nick Sirianni, recently had a multiple day interview with the Eagles as well. I think that's notable because they took Phillip Rivers, an old aging quarterback, and they sort of revitalized that team and, you know, help them at least get into the playoffs when it looked like they were, you know, going to be out of it for a while there after they lost Andrew Luck. So again, another strong offensive minded candidate to replace the offensive minded coach that we just got rid of in Doug Peterson. But the coach that I'm still the most fascinated in this whole conversation, and you knew that I was going to go here, is I've heard reports that players are texting Jeffrey Lurie and sort of petitioning him to make Deuce Staley the coach. Rich, this is getting a little bit more buzz every time we record. And I know you weren't a fan of it, but have your opinions changed at all? Because from what I'm reading, I've read some opinion pieces, and what I'm seeing is it kind of makes sense in a weird way. He knows the team, he knows the personnel, he knows the management structure. He doesn't need to be the type of head coach that Peterson was. He could be a manager style coach, somebody who's going to motivate people, get the best out of people, and put in offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators that will run those respective departments, and basically, help him in that regard. But he's been around for a while. He helped take that run game in 2017, cobbled together with these old washed up running backs, and turn it into a Super Bowl winning ground attack. So he knows how to scheme offensively. He's worked under now, I think, 3 different head coaches, offensive minded head coaches. So he has a whole bunch of different ideas of how to scheme things. But he doesn't need to if they bring in a good offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. That's what I've heard in support of this. There's, of course, negatives as well, which I'm sure you're dying to get into, Rich.
No,
So,
I'm not dying to get into it.
You just don't see the leap.
Yeah, that's too much of a leap to give. And also I don't think that's what this team needs.
But is it a leap? Because he was assistant head coach and he's interviewed for the position several times now.
Well, that's good. I could interview for the position several times. That's great. Does that make me qualified for a head coach? That doesn't matter. No, I nothing against Deuce Staley. To be honest, I think he'd be a fine offensive coordinator. I'd
like him in that role.
I think that's the appropriate boost up he deserves. I think jettisoning him up to head coach doesn't make any sense, especially for a team that I think they need an outsider. They need somebody to come into this organization and go through, what does this team do right? What does this team do wrong? What are the things that we need to fix on this team? There needs to be an outside perspective for this head coaching position. It shouldn't be somebody that's been through the ranks. Matter of fact, everything you just said, I think, is a detriment to
really.
Yeah, I want somebody fresh with fresh ideas. I don't want somebody from the previous administration in this one.
So the only issue that I can see is, I agree, we do need fresh ideas, but right now players respect and they'll go to battle for Deuce Staley. There's something to be said about that, especially for a locker room that they're never going to say it, but to me, it seems like the locker room is pretty broken and splintered. People don't like and trust Wentz. Players are all over the place.
Well, again, I'm going to go back to my point. You hire Josh McDaniels, that's not an issue, because guess what? Players are going to come and go. Everything is going to fall on the decision of the head coach, because that is whoever gets hired as the head coach is going to tell you what Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie truly thinks of this team. If they go with another head coach, then maybe they think we're only 1, 2, 3 players out of contention. But if they go with a Josh Daniels, cue the bomb alert. It's going to be a full-blown roster rebuild. The Eagles are going to go 4-12 next year. It's going to be full-on rebuild mode. And all the players, you better have your P's and Q's set, because there's going to be some turnover.
Yeah, their time is definitely coming to an end. Another name that's been surfacing recently is Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if I said that right.
There you go.
Andy Reid has said that he hopes that he lands a job in the NFC. The Eagles are the only NFC team looking for a head coach. Is Reid sort of saying that he believes his offensive coordinator would be a good fit in Philadelphia, or is he just trying to get him out of the conference so there's less competition for his Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, probably both, but really that's kind of pie in the sky thinking, because you can't interview them while they're in the playoffs. So we won't know any more details on that until the Chiefs get eliminated or they win the Super Bowl. So
yeah, I'll say this. That's the direction I definitely don't want the Eagles to go in. It's too close to repeating history. And as much as we loved Andy Reid in this town, quote unquote, loved, I think we need to separate ourselves a little bit from his coaching tree. We had Doug Peterson. If we sign Eric Bieniemy as the new head coach, I think it's just going to be more of the same, And like you said, with your criticism of Deuce Staley, we do, I think, need new ideas. We need somebody who's going to come in. it'll be interesting to see. A lot of this rests on who these candidates suggest as offensive and defensive coordinators, because that's what sunk Peterson. Remember, in that original conversation with Laurie, he's like, here are my ideas for OC and DC. And Laurie was like, you're done. So right away, Jeffrey Lurie isn't looking at this just from a head coaching perspective. He's looking at this from, I need to hire somebody who's going to bring the full package, and it's going to be whoever he's more interested in and the package they've assembled, the hiring suggestions they have for their coordinators. So whoever brings the most connections, the most, intriguing, tantalizing picks for coordinators will ultimately get this position. It's interesting the Eagles have interviewed so many people. They're one of only 2 teams left looking for a head coach. So, they started near the end of the pack, but now they have a lot of time to decide because they're not competing with anybody anymore.
Not really.
Okay.
Okay. I thought that would be a good transition because the other team that needs a head coach right now literally can't find people to interview.
Oh, that's right. The Houston Texans. I completely forgot about them.
Wow. Yeah. I wrote this in the rundown and I want everyone to pay attention. Just when you think the Eagles have a dumpster fire, another team comes along in the NFL and creates a grease inferno because the Texans are just spiraling out of control and they look like the worst franchise in the NFL. And that's saying something considering we have the Jets.
Yeah.
News broke this weekend that their star quarterback, Deshaun Watson, wants out of Houston immediately. And this is impressive how wrong and how fast this has gotten. If you're not familiar with the Texans' struggles, just 2 seasons ago, they were in the playoffs. They were up on the Chiefs, remember? They were up 24-0 on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
This was a team that was ascending, and everything has fallen apart for this franchise in the span of just a single calendar year. So first off, they gave Bill O'Brien the role of being head coach and the general manager, and that turned out poorly as he made horrible trades and just didn't work out. In the end, he got fired. So now the Texans had both a general manager vacancy and a head coaching vacancy.
Which means they really have offensive and defensive coaching head vacancies too, because, they always bring in new staff.
Yeah, if you want to look, we're not even getting to that level yet because it's bizarre how fast this team has fallen. So the Texans go throughout this year. They finished, I think, like 4-12, or it was bad.
Not good.
An atrocious season. But now they can't even rebound off of that because they traded away their first-round draft pick to the Dolphins. The Dolphins now end up having the number 3 overall draft pick that should have went to the Texans, but Bill O'Brien traded it away. So the Texans are just in a heap of a mess already to start out with. And then was this 2 weeks ago? They hired a new general manager, Nick Caserio, from New England, and apparently they did not take Deshaun Watson's input into this decision, and this has pissed off Watson. He's now lost weapons because Bill O'Brien traded them away this time last year. He wasn't consulted on the hiring of the general manager. The team has now gone 4-12, and they have no way to rebound in 2021. So Deshaun Watson is asking for a trade ASAP. And this is where the dumpster fire now turns to a grease fire. Because when you look at Deshaun Watson's contract, it's worse than Carson Wentz. It is actually worse. I can't believe this is actually possible. Deshaun Watson is only 25 years old. He's only the second year into a 6-year contract, which means that his earliest opt-out clause isn't until 2024.
Oof.
So the Texans are stuck with him unless they try to trade him away. But guess what? Deshaun Watson worked into the contract that he has the ultimate trade privilege. He has to approve of the team that Houston wants to trade him away to. So,
Oh man.
So put that all together, and they still don't have a head coach. Like, this is, when you analyze this step by step by step by step, it is crazy how far this franchise has fallen in just the span of one calendar year. I don't know where they go. One of the ESPN commentators said, trade him to the Jets. Oh yeah, Watson is really going to want to go to the New York Football Jets. Oh,
you know where he might want to go. And yeah, I'm going to go there. Philadelphia, straight up. Carson Wentz for Deshaun Watson. Who says no?
No. Deshaun Watson. Do you think Deshaun Watson wants to handle the fury of Philadelphia sports fans?
I think that he wants to come to a team that at least is committed to winning and has at least some building blocks. The Houston Texans, they tanked that team. The Eagles have been slipping and sliding, but they've always at least tried. As half-assed as it's been, as half-hearted as it's been, they've always tried. The Texans are a disaster.
I don't think you can sell Watson enough on that. Remember, Watson has to give the approval on this. You better give him an amazing team in order for him to approve of this trade. Otherwise, he's just going to sit back and collect the paycheck.
Well, I think the Eagles have a better offensive line than Houston. I think the Eagles have more building blocks on offense than Houston in terms of, they have a tight end and a running back in place already. We have some players at wide receiver. If we get another one, it'll be even better. Defense, Watson doesn't need to be concerned about the defensive side of the ball, but we have, deep rotation of the defensive line, as well as a couple of key building blocks in the secondary. So I think that the sell is there. I think it's only a matter of the complication of moving Wentz and then, creating a package that works for both teams. I see two disgruntled young quarterbacks in their prime. I mean,
I don't see it happening.
Why not a swap? All right. Well, what team would he get traded to then? What team has a quarterback vacancy that he would want to go to?
I hate to say it, but a team that I think could use his talents would be either Miami or New England. And that would just be unfair that Bill Belichick gets a talent like Deshaun Watson on that squad or something like that.
Bill Belichick will make a play for Deshaun Watson, definitely.
Yeah.
If Watson really is on the trade block.
Imagine, what he did with Cam Newton, but actually now Cam Newton can actually pass the ball. That would be pretty formidable.
That would be pretty substantial.
Right. So that pisses me off if that happens.
I don't know that Miami goes that route. Miami likes being on the receiving end of horrible Houston Texans trades.
Yeah.
They don't want to give up a king's ransom for Deshaun Watson, especially when they were, a couple of plays away from the playoffs this year already. They might be okay. They have Tua, I can't pronounce his last name, but, they just invested a lot of draft capital into him, so they can't really move on from him yet. I don't buy the Jets. What about the Colts? The Colts just got rid of Phillip Rivers.
No, in division rivals. I don't think that works out.
Doesn't matter because, again, Watson has to approve it, right? He gets a chance to stab back at the Texans twice a year.
I mean,
they have a vacancy at quarterback.
If he doesn't mind, he could go that route, but I don't know. I don't see the Texans willingly doing that. 49ers, that's another one. I forgot about that. San Francisco 49ers would be interesting.
They're not still married to what's his name? Garoppolo?
Nope.
No.
Jimmy Garoppolo is rumored to be a free agent.
Mm. Mm-hmm. All right, so throw 49ers into the mix too. Yeah. I don't know. I just really want the Eagles to somehow make a play for Watson.
No, but to really go back into the full circle of this also hurts any trade talk for Carson Wentz, because now Carson Wentz isn't the top tier trade target. Now it's Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Because Deshaun Watson,
Deshaun Watson's better than Carson Wentz. Deshaun Watson's better than Carson Wentz.
And he has playoff experience. Basically,
stay on the field.
Yeah, and you give Deshaun Watson just a decent wide receiving core, he produces.
Yeah, I mean, he produced this year with nothing.
Yeah. So
So,
it's not looking good for any Wentz trade. Basically, this is what it boils down to: is this screws over the Carson Wentz trade talk. I don't know if this happens. Everybody thinks it's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think it happens. I think Lurie and Howie might be too stubborn, and they might just keep Wentz for another year.
I think personally they're very enamored with Wentz.
Yeah.
And Wentz has way more control of the organization than I think anybody wants to let on.
Right.
As you know, people aren't going to say it, but I really do believe that Peterson's firing was as much indicative of Peterson's failures as it was how much sway Carson Wentz has, because there was no secret that Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson's relationship had been fractured. Jeffrey Lurie was a kid stuck in the middle of this divorce, and he had to decide which parent to go with. And he went with Carson Wentz. No, I'm serious. That's literally what happened. And you can't convince me otherwise. Because at the end of the season, I said one of them has to go. I thought it was going to be Wentz because he seemed too broken to fix, but instead they jettisoned Doug Peterson, the only Super Bowl winning head coach in Philadelphia Eagles history, which I think was ultimately, it was a necessary move. But anyway, to your point, Roseman and Lurie are not going to be very excited to move on from Wentz unless a king's ransom comes their way. So,
yeah. And I know everyone likes to say the Colts, but I don't think it's going to happen. Basically, in that trade scenario where you guys are imagining that Philly sends Wentz to Indianapolis, somebody in those three parties is going to have to take a money hit. I don't think the Eagles are willing to do so because they've got cap issues of their own. The Colts
trading Wentz saves $800,000.
Woo, 800,000. That's chump change. That doesn't help.
That's a rookie. That's a rookie deal right there.
That doesn't really help in the long. No, I'm sorry, you're grasping at straws there. That doesn't really help.
Yeah, but you also get them off the books faster.
Maybe. Colts, they have cap room, but the question is, are they willing to go all in on Carson Wentz? And Wentz, no, he's a player. He wants to earn as much money as he can. So he's not going to give up dead cap money either. So to me, that's just, I don't see any one of those three parties giving up money to do this trade.
I think people are put off by Wentz's cap numbers, but they're not as outrageous as it is. Any team that would be trading for Wentz would get a huge deal there because we're paying next year's salary. Basically, we're paying the vast majority of it, like 20 some million of it. So any team that trades for Wentz, they're getting a young starting caliber quarterback for about $10 to $15 million. That's not bad. Now, the future years on the contract, any trade would have to come with a restructuring. But this 2021 year, they'd be getting a deal. They'd be getting a bargain. I still say the Eagles are in the play with these quarterback trade talks. The Colts, the Eagles, the Texans, and you want to throw the 49ers and the Patriots in there. These are the players for, these quarterback trade talks. The Eagles have to be involved in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because here's the other issue. You mentioned coaches don't want to go to Houston. Do coaches want to come to Philadelphia knowing the issues that we have at quarterback? I mean, is Josh McDaniels going to want to come in and be like, now I got to fix a broken offense and a broken quarterback?
At least Philadelphia's got draft picks.
At least Philadelphia has. That's true. But as long as Howie Roseman has control of the draft, do we really have draft picks?
The $1 million question.
Yeah.
Well, that's all.
There's a lot tangled up in these head coach and quarterback talks.
Right. And that's all for the offseason. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about when the football season ends. But that's a reminder that we still actually have real football happening on Sunday. It is time for the championship games. This is it. This is how you punch your ticket into the Super Bowl. It all happens this Sunday. 2 games. The best of the best are now left standing. Oh my God. It's time for the conference championship games.
Man, and let me tell you, 2 really good games on Sunday. I wasn't expecting to see some of these teams here, but they are nonetheless. First up, we have the NFC Championship game. This is Sunday at 3:00 p.m. We have a shootout between two of the very best to ever play quarterback, Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I did not see making the playoffs. Tom Brady has turned that team into a formidable force against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers up in wintry Lambeau Field. Rich, who has the edge here? Who do you see making it to the Super Bowl? Could we see an NFC Tom Brady? Wouldn't that be wild? He continues to win Super Bowls just on the other side of things.
You can't keep getting away with it. Ah! All right. So this is really interesting, and it breaks.
Also would settle the debate between, is it Brady or Belichick?
Well, that's another topic.
Yeah.
So this is going to break my heart a little bit, because I'm usually one of those guys that defense wins championships, and that's how you make your bones when you get to this part in the playoffs. But after watching the games that transpired in the divisional round last week, I've got to say, I don't know anymore. I used to think defense was what you needed to propel yourself, but we saw these defenses that were statistically, the best in the league get run over by these offenses that are loaded with pure weapons. And one of them was the Buccaneers. They were able to knock off the Saints that had a top 5 defense in the NFL. But the other one on the other side of the ball was the Packers as well, going up against statistically the number 1 defense. And Aaron Rodgers handled them like they were just, Swiss cheese. It was perfectly fine. And I think this might be the end of defense, of valuing defense in the playoffs. And it bothers me to say that. As a result, I don't know. I think Green Bay is just so overloaded with talent. I know you may want to go with the Buccaneers, but here's the difference. The Packers also have the run game to complement Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And it was amazing to see them dismantle the Rams defense. I know Aaron Donald was hurt, but it was amazing how it was like surgery. They knew run, get them off balance. Aaron Rodgers, bootleg pass. And it was amazing how he was able to keep the Rams defense, which was ranked the number 1 defense, just confused and out of rhythm. And it's amazing to me that this is now the premier element you need in a championship team. And between the two, Brady, because Brady can do it as well. And we saw Brady do it last week. But between Brady and what he has to offer and Rodgers, what he has to offer, I think the more explosive offense, the one that is just, for lack of a better word, just ruthless, they're just calm about it, is right now Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And you know what? I'm going to stand by that. It is ruthless because Aaron Rodgers has been on this revenge FU tour to the Green Bay Packers front office that thought that he was, getting to the end of his career. He has been just lights out and like surgical with his decision making and everything. I think the Packers take this.
Yeah. I completely agree with everything you just said. Aaron Rodgers has played near perfectly this season. I'm looking at his stats right now. Over 70% completions, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. When have you ever seen a ratio like that? It is insane. 121.5 passer rating. I mean, you really cannot get much better than that. And the things that I see setting the Packers apart from the Buccaneers in this matchup are, like you said, it's that ground game. I mean, it's night and day between the two. But not just that, you look at every measurable, the Packers are basically top 10 in every conceivable measurable when it comes to offense and defense. They're also playing at home. Aaron Rodgers, normally I always like, in years past, I've said the Packers don't do anything in the playoffs. That, for all the hullabaloo about the Packers being so good, they usually fall apart near the end, and they do. They have a history of losing conference championship games, but they've all been road games for the most part. They've had very few home games. Actually, I don't think they've had any home games, according to the stats that I have here, with Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game. So that's a little bit of a difference maker there. Tampa Bay has to come up to blustery Lambeau Field. It's always tougher to play there. And I know the Buccaneers blew out the Packers earlier in the season. And I'm reading some stats here. It's like, oh, teams that have done that have gone on to, have a winning record against the team when they face them in the playoffs. But something about the Packers this season, like Aaron Rodgers and that team have just been, as you said, ruthless. They've been calculated. They've been tactical. They've been near perfect as you can get in the NFL. There's just something special about this team this season. Like they've never really been in doubt, about how they're going to handle things on the field. They're operating at peak efficiency right now. So I got to go with the Packers as well. It's the safe choice, taking the number 1 seed, but they're the number 1 seed for a reason. They handled business all throughout the year, and they did it, as you said. I love the word ruthless. They have been. Rodgers has been, again, I think, perfect this season. So offense, I know you say defense wins championships, or at least you used to.
Yeah, this might be the year.
That was the whole point of your thesis. But I would argue that for the past couple of years, we've been trending in that direction. Look back to the Eagles Super Bowl 3 years ago. It was a shootout. It wasn't a defensive game at all. It was the exact opposite of it. People were like, oh, yeah, but Brandon Graham, his strip sack ended up winning the game. But if Nick Foles didn't outgun Tom Brady, it doesn't matter if there's a strip sack. They still had to put 41 points. So offense is definitely, and it's no secret, the NFL wants to push offense as much as possible. We want to see those higher scoring games. Well, if we're going to get one here, potentially, I think the Packers are going to edge out the Bucs in this shootout, or what seems to be a shootout. But you know what? You go to the AFC, and guess what? Another shootout. We have the Buffalo Bills traveling to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. Sunday, 6:40 p.m. Rich, this one I think is a little bit tougher to call. You've been down on the Bills in the playoffs, but damn, they are handling business time and again. Can they do it against the Chiefs at home? The best team in the league, the defending Super Bowl champions. Can the Bills get it done?
I hate to say it, this is such a cop-out answer, but it comes down to if Patrick Mahomes plays. If he gets cleared, I'd have to imagine he has, unless, so basically the latest report as of the time we're recording this Wednesday night is that he got a limited practice in for Wednesday. Yeah. So I'd have to believe he's on track and he's going to try and play Sunday. If that's the case, I think the Chiefs get the edge just because of the versatility that he can do leading that offense. I do got to give credit to the Buffalo Bills. I have been picking against them this whole AFC playoff tournament, and they've been proving me wrong.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
I think as long as Patrick Mahomes is in the game, it's Chiefs. Chiefs have the edge.
I mean, that's a big if. I mean,
it is.
You think, I don't think there's going to be anything that's stopping him from playing in this game, right?
Unless he gets hurt again.
I think he's going to try and, whether he falsifies his concussion protocol. I mean, I can't imagine anything keeping him from playing in this game. I mean, this close to reaching the Super Bowl again in back-to-back years. It really does come down to that. If the Chiefs go out there and they're down Patrick Mahomes, I don't think they have a chance against the Bills. The Bills have just thoroughly impressed me this year. I mean, for all the talk of all these other phenomenal teams, the Packers and the Bucks and the Saints and all these teams that have been eliminated, everybody overlooked the Bills. It's very reminiscent of another team that I can think of in recent history, a number 1, number 2 seed who didn't quite get the respect and then showed up in the playoffs. The Bills are getting it done at every turn. They are proving naysayers wrong. Josh Allen has become a premier quarterback. This defense has while at times been a little bit shaky, held their own against really tough opponents. Oh man, do I take a flyer on the Bills here? I think I do. I think I go with the Bills. It's so hard for teams to repeat in the NFL. It is a league designed to prevent repeat winners. And unless you're the Patriots, it literally doesn't happen. So I'm going with the Bills. I'm going with them. I'm going with the Bills. I'm feeling something here. Look, I'm looking at this little stat here. The Bills are 4-2 in championship games as a franchise. So they have history on their side. That means they're going to win.
All right, fantastic.
No, I'm kidding, but I don't know, something about the narrative. Sometimes the narrative is all you need. You know, the Eagles, when they won their Super Bowl, they were riding the hungry dogs thing, the underdog thing. The Bills here, they're going to ride that momentum of we're breaking this trend that this franchise has been in for so long. Like,
they're breaking more than that. They're going to break all the tables in Buffalo at this rate.
Another reason for them to win, because they're going to run out of tables in Buffalo.
Dear God, no. Home Depots are going to shut down. We have no tables.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bills. It's gonna be a shocker. Mind you, the last time these two teams played, it was only I can't do math, but it was like a 9-point game. So it was close. It was a close game, you know. I'm going with the Bills. I like the underdog story.
All right. Well, there you go. That would be the championship conference champions, if you will, and then those winners play in the Super Bowl. So, oh my gosh, would it be horrible if it was Bills versus Buccaneers and Buffalo's like, no, what, Tom Brady? No,
Tom Brady, no,
this is not supposed to happen.
Tom Brady is like, oh, you again?
Yeah. Oh, I remember you. Didn't we meet at that one party?
I gotta admit, though, there's so many great storylines that could play out with this round of the playoffs. I mean, could you imagine if Brady goes on, makes it to the Super Bowl? I mean, that effectively seals the deal, right? It was always Brady in New England.
That would be crazy if it is. So
and then you know, if he ends up matching up with the Bills, if he ends up matching up with the Chiefs, I mean, there's just so many crazy storylines going on here. It's fantastic. Oh.
All right. Well, enough sports. Let's get into some entertainment topics. And this is an interesting article you sent my way, Mike. A article from the New York Times listing top streaming shows and movies during the 2020 pandemic year. Yeah, this was pretty interesting. I gotta say,
it is very interesting because you get your finger on the pulse of what America was craving, or biding their time with. When everything was in lockdown, what do? You watch Netflix, you watch movies, TV shows. So what exactly were people watching? Well, I have the numbers here from Nielsen reported through the New York Times, and I was really surprised that the vast majority of shows were not streaming originals. You hear everything about The Crown this and The Mandalorian that, and oh my God, Tiger King was so amazing. The most streamed shows were all older shows. They were, out of production. The Office, with almost 1 billion views, billion hours of viewing in 2020, was the top streamed show during the pandemic. In fact, you have to go down to, I believe it's the 4th highest streamed show before you get to an original series, and that's Ozark from Netflix. So the top 3 most streamed series are The Office, Grey's Anatomy, and Criminal Minds. All old shows that
people love. Criminal Minds.
People love Criminal Minds. And Grey's Anatomy, is that show still on? It's like on season 400 million. Never watched it. But yeah, I find it so interesting that all the buzz that you always hear about are these shows, like Tiger King got so much buzz. The Mandalorian got so much buzz. Queen's Gambit, I don't see that on this list at all in the top 10.
That makes sense, because that came out towards the end of the year. So yeah,
but it got so much good press. It just goes to show you that the amount of press something is getting doesn't necessarily tap into the pulse of what America is feeling. Why do you think that America, I guess it's not really, I don't know if this is America or across the globe, but why do you think people were so just interested in watching The Office again and again and again? Like, what is it?
Well, I mean, I guess it's a familiar show. It makes people feel good because, for the most part, they don't really deal with any sort of heavy topics. Um, so, and I had a friend who said that it's a good show to fall asleep to. So I bet you a lot of
It is.
people, yeah, I bet you a lot of people put that on right before they go to sleep. Um, so I can understand it. But yeah, it is kind of a little disappointing that these shows are vastly outranking original shows, because that kind of shoots people in the foot with the argument that you need the newest and the best original content. With these numbers, it seems like you really just need the shows that people love to constantly watch over and over and over again.
Yeah, I was often reminded of this while we were doing the podcast proper. And I would research, remember the old segments, Rich, This Week in Entertainment?
Yeah.
Try and research the shows that were coming out each week and the movies that were coming out each week and give people an idea of, the latest premieres to go check out. And it always amazed me that, for as much positive critical buzz as some of these original series got, time and time again, the shows that had the largest followings and had the, I would look at the numbers and stuff. It was always these established series. These were always the ones that, and it always reminded me that these original shows are not catering to the masses. You know what I mean? Like, the masses aren't tuning into The Mandalorian. It's a very specific group of people that watch that show. The same with like the Queen's Gambit. It's a very specific slice of the population that they're trying to capture. Meanwhile, things like The Office and Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds, like that captures everybody. Everybody's seen The Office. Only a handful of people have seen the Queen's Gambit or The Mandalorian. It's just an interesting dichotomy there.
Yeah.
Because we always preach quality over quantity. I feel like us on this podcast, when really what this proves is that if people want quantity, not quality. And I guess that's always kind of been the case.
I don't know if it would be quantity over quality. I think it's more people would rather have the familiar than the unfamiliar. People would rather rewatch the same TV show or movie than they would to venture into something new, waste time, and then like they don't like it. And to a degree, I'm the same way too. I gotta admit fault here because I love, me. I love my movies. I love whenever I have
watch Casino 400 times before you watch a Pixar animated film.
Correct.
Even Pixar animated films are literally half the runtime of Casino.
Correct. I don't know. There's something about Casino and Goodfellas. Anything with Martin Scorsese, I don't know. For some odd reason, they do not feel like 3-hour movies to me.
They feel like 3-hour movies, Rich. They're good 3-hour movies, but they feel like 3-hour movies.
Not to me. I could just sit there and just watch all day. But that's kind of an adjacent to this is the fact that these shows, especially something like The Office, that holds a heartwarming place to the viewers, they would rather go back and constantly enjoy those episodes rather than try and venture into something new, which unfortunately I think could be misconstrued by these streaming companies.
Yes.
That now these series are now gold and not the development of new original content.
Well, this goes, they're not entirely wrong because, the old saying, the customer's always right. It's not about Karens getting their way, at the supermarket. It's really about what people are spending money on. And people are, voting with their dollars that they would rather see shows like The Office, Grey's Anatomy, and Criminal Minds rather than, Emmy award-winning shows like Ozark or The Crown, which, you're right, is very disheartening. But it'd be interesting. I want to see this list. I would love to compare this list to years before the pandemic and years after the pandemic. I wonder how
Yeah.
much of it comes down to the thing that I found really interesting in this, and you sort of touched on, was like that comfort and familiarity. In a year that was so unfamiliar, are people retreating even further into nostalgia? And they're like, I just want to rewatch The Office again just because I know it. It's a little bit of normalcy. You know what I mean? In a year where it was like all very weird and different, they just want to have pure escapism as something that they remember, you know? They don't want anything necessarily too heavy. So The Office is like the perfect show. I do like to see, though, that there were some shows there, like Schitt's Creek had a nice little
Yeah.
bump up the list.
Yeah, I saw Schitt's Creek on there.
That's great.
Lucifer, I'm happy to see Lucifer was a big one. That's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I will say it's really fascinating that, so the way this is broken down on the New York Times, it's a great article. People want to go check it out, but they have the top 10 acquired series, that they have the top 10 original series, and of these two lists, you have essentially 20 top series. 19 are from Netflix.
Yeah, well,
Do you even
well,
need
not,
the other streaming services?
well, not The Office anymore.
Well, exactly.
That's now Peacock.
So could we see Peacock all of a sudden shoot up the ranks of streaming services solely because of The Office? Because The Office right now is like head and shoulders above every other. I mean, it's a 300 million hour difference between
People
The
love
Office.
The Office.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. If the next time they do this, Peacock gets the number one ranking.
So NBC has a great opportunity here. They may have struck gold, if they really make a commitment to making that streaming service good. They could use The Office to propel it into something special.
Yeah.
Or they could just shovel crap onto it. We'll see. I will say, though, props to The Mandalorian, the only non-Netflix show on these lists.
Yeah, Mandalorian, Star Wars saves the day.
Yeah. On the flip side of things, for the top 10 movies, it's a pretty even split between Disney Plus and Netflix. I got to say, for Disney Plus coming into the streaming service, as a relative newcomer, it's making its name. Kids, they want to watch these Disney movies, and they killed it during the pandemic with, things like Frozen 2, Moana, the new Pixar movies like Onward. Hamilton's on there as well. Disney Plus, I think, I'm a Disney fan, so I'm a little biased, but I think that's incredible value. When you look at Marvel and Star Wars and Disney and Pixar, they have Nat Geo, Hamilton now. It's incredible value. So.
Okay, thank you, you Disney shill.
I know, I really sound like a Disney shill there.
Yeah, you at that rate, you better be getting paid from them. That sounded like a freaking commercial.
Look, I'm just preaching fact here, Rich. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay.
You watch The Mandalorian. You've partaken. You can't criticize.
Look, Star Wars, that's the only reason why. That's it. That's the
only reason why. Broaden your perspectives, Rich.
That's the only reason why.
Okay.
Speaking of broadening your perspectives, should we get into some odd news?
Yeah, let's delve into some odd news.
All right. You know what? I'm not really broadening anybody's mind. This is definitely a traditional odd news story here.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm definitely, once I read the top headline, you're going to be like, of course somebody would do this.
Okay.
I guess the surprising part about this story is it's in Wisconsin. So maybe this guy is a really overly excited Packers fan and he doesn't know how to relieve his excitement.
Okay, that's already troubling.
Yep. Because according to police, a Wisconsin man has been accused of having sex with an abandoned couch.
Oh my God. You're right. That is 110% completely. That doesn't. I mean, people have had on the podcast in the past.
Yeah, let's go over the list. How many things can you
For
remember?
for newcomers, let's go. Do you remember there was a golf hole?
Yes,
There was
that's one
video
of
of
our
that.
best.
There was video of that one.
That
There's
was
video of that one.
that was one of our best stories. Yeah,
They used the flagpole too, very creatively.
yeah.
Go look it up, folks. There was a bush. Do you remember the bush?
Yes, the
That
bush
was
that
it
was trimmed
it
like
was
a woman.
trimmed like a woman.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
a bush. There was a mailbox, I believe.
Yeah.
There was a mailbox.
Yeah, that's been one.
A lot of inanimate objects. A lot of didn't somebody get their penis stuck in an air conditioning pipe?
Yes. Oh my God. That's like 5 years ago. Yeah.
So he wasn't quote unquote having sex per se, but I mean, like, why else is your penis in an air conditioning? Well, also, what the hell is an air conditioning pipe? I still, to this day, that was years ago, I still don't understand. Your air conditioner, there's no pipes just jutting out of walls, blowing cold air out of a pipe. So I don't know where you're sticking it.
Yeah, he had an imagination on him.
He had some imagination. Didn't some guy have sex with a pool? Like the thing in the pool, you know? We talk about
the inflatables, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the inflatables, yeah.
And he kept a room full of them.
Oh God, that's weird.
Yeah, that was Flatty Ladies, yeah.
Hold on, I'm having fun here. Let's see, what else can I remember?
It's like a game show. How many things do you remember?
How many weird things that people had sex with? Now, did we make this up, or was this not a news story? Roadkill.
Yeah. No, that did happen. Yeah, the guy.
Yeah.
He was talking. Yeah, he was talking.
Did we make that up, or
no? He was talking with a lady, and he said he was going to go clean it up. And then when the lady checked on him, he was
yes,
he was banging the roadkill. Yeah, I remember that story. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. You have a really good memory, Mike.
Oh, these have been seared into my brain, Rich.
Aren't you glad you did this podcast with me?
Oh, so glad. Every time we get to the odd news, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that my brain has been completely destroyed by these odd news stories.
Wow.
They're just imprinted in there. The things that I've learned and seen and read because of these odd news stories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Memories. Holding in my mind. Memories.
So
anyway,
sex with some really and animals. But that's not weird. That's like every other week there's people having sex with animals in the odd news.
Right. So here we're going with an abandoned couch.
Okay, abandoned. That's definitely a new one. So this is like when somebody takes the furniture and they leave it out on the sidewalk with a sign that says "free, please take it." They misinterpret the sign. They thought that take it in another way.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, this started off when an off-duty cop was out jogging late Tuesday night.
Okay.
So this wasn't even like the cops got called. This is just some guy running, you know.
He just stumbled across a man in his couch.
Yep. Just going to town. Just hey, sir, what are you doing over there? Excuse me.
Well, maybe he thought that he was like passed out on it, as he's jogging him. He's like, oh, that guy's like face down in that couch. I wonder what's happening. He gets close. He's like, oh, wait, he's moving. Oh, God, no. But like, that's super gross.
Yes.
That's super gross. You seem disturbed.
The town is Waukesha. Waukesha. Waukesha? Is it like, see, this is where, if this was the regular podcast, I would start playing Kesha music. I would play TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Waukesha.
No, it's Waukesha, Wisconsin. Yeah. I pulled up the Wikipedia article. That's a big one. They got 70,000 people there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that. That is weird.
Oh, Waukesha's name is thought to be an anglicization. I can't read this sentence. Anyway.
Okay.
Please continue, Rich. I gave up. There were way too many big words.
Well, that is weird, wild stuff. Okay, so back to the story here.
What is happening right now? Go ahead.
So this off-duty cop was jogging, and that's when he finds 46-year-old Gerard Streeter. Streeter.
Okay.
Oh God, these names are just getting to me. So he was on top of the yellow abandoned couch.
Ew.
The officer reported seeing the subject leaning over the couch, facing down, and humping the couch, and seeing his hips thrust up and down. So very important that we got that all in the police report.
Leaning over the couch. What part of the couch? I'm trying to think of like mechanically how he's doing this.
I guess it would be between the two cushions.
So like where you sit, or like the backrest? He's leaning over it. I'm trying to figure out.
No,
you know what? What?
I guess he's leaning over the couch. So no, he's probably facing the couch,
Right.
and he's taking the cushion and kind of putting it together on his Johnson.
Right. He's using where the cushions come together.
Yeah, that would be my best guess.
Right.
That's the only way I can deduce from the police report.
That's so gross.
So the cop then approached Streeter and said, "What are you doing?"
I mean, that's a fair question. What are you doing?
Yeah, interrupting this poor man. He's having a fun time with the abandoned couch.
Yeah.
Streeter jumped, screamed, and ran away.
He ran away. Oh my God. He got scared. He got scared.
Yeah. I just love the image. Just a jump, scream, run away.
Yeah. With a raging erection.
Yeah, too. He's humping the couch.
He's just humping away. The cop is like, "Sup?" And he jumps straight up. He's like, "Oh my God." He just darts off
with a raging erection.
Yeah. Boner flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
Cutting through it aerodynamically.
Yep. Oh, so here we go. I don't know why this is placed at the end of the police report.
Okay.
The cop noted that he, quote, had been thrusting his pelvic area against the cushions and trying to gratify himself by rubbing his penis between two cushions.
That was like overly technical.
Yeah. You got to love these police reports.
Yeah, he was thrusting. What was it? Thrusting between two cushions and trying to gratify himself.
Yes, trying to gratify himself by rubbing his penis between two cushions.
I guess it's professional. They don't want it to be too graphic. He was trying to get his rocks off on the couch.
Yeah,
you don't want to write that.
Okay, so after all that happened, Edwards, the cop, Edwards is the name of the cop. He chased Streeter for a little bit. But he got away. Luckily, the cop was able to find a wallet that he dropped, and the police confronted him at his work the next day. Oh, that's not fun. You go.
That's awkward.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a guy here do you have a guy named Streeter that works here? Yeah, he screwed a couch.
Well, I don't think they would say that. That would be so bad, though.
We got to take him in. He screwed a couch.
They go to the front office like, "Do you have any couch humpers by the name of Streeter?" And the secretary is like, "What?
You guys have anybody that really loves furniture?"
Yeah. Yeah. You haven't had anybody here that like just always in the break room, sitting on the couch, just like awkwardly stroking it. Yeah. Oh man, that's so bad. Oh, that just ruined that dude's day so many ways over.
And his employment. I don't think you'd want him back to work.
Look, even in the weird off chance that, yeah, no, they would be like, "No, that's too weird. That's too weird." Even in the off chance that they decide to keep him on staff, like, how could you ever go back? How could you ever go back to that office? Because people are going to ask you, like, "What was that all about?" What does he say? What does he say? He's like, "Oh, it's just a little misunderstanding." Like you can't weasel your way out of that.
Yeah. And on one final note, I know you'll like this, Mike. His official charge was lewd and lascivious behavior.
Yes, the best charge ever.
The good
I
old
love it.
classic.
Lewd and lascivious behavior.
Yep,
Come
he
on,
got it.
everybody's got to love that.
He got a big old bowl full of it.
Ooh, delicious.
Yeah.
Can we just go over how gross it is to hump a couch that's been sitting on the sidewalk for how long? Did it rain? Is it cold?
It
Have
was
animals been
abandoned.
on it? It was abandoned. No, wait. Was it abandoned or was it left out for people to, like, you know how people do? They leave furniture out and people come by and they pick it up? Or was it
No,
like,
the
or was it
police
abandoned? Like it was like
yeah,
thrown out?
the police report said abandoned, so I would just assumed it just was thrown out and just left there.
Oh God.
So yeah, probably has probably very dirty.
Yeah, that's super gross.
And
Oh,
that may have been his favorite his favorite couch.
that was his favorite couch. He was just walking down the street. Man, where's this guy's mind? He's just walking down the street and is he walking down the street looking for something? Or does he catch sight of the couch? He's like, whoa,
Whoa! Wait a minute.
boom. Pops. He just sees the curves of that couch, that soft, supple cushion. Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, give me those two cushions, baby.
Give me those two cushions. Oh my God. He just has to have that couch. He just has to have that couch right then and there.
Perfect.
People are monsters, Rich.
Yeah. Well, I hope if Green Bay makes it to the Super Bowl, I don't know what the hell he's going to do for an encore.
What?
I mean, he's this excited. The Packers didn't even make the Super Bowl yet.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What's he going to do now?
Have sex with an armchair. I don't know.
Yeah, an ottoman
with a leather couch, with an ottoman. No, he just steps up in terms of fabric. This one was like,
okay.
yeah. So next it's like like a nicer fabric, and then eventually works his way up to like leather, and then like premium leather. Yeah. Ooh,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent. Ooh, yes.
I'm glad you know these things, Mike.
Well, of course, who isn't informed on the couch sexiness scale?
Yeah. All right, and there you go. That's the odd news for this week. Before we officially wrap this episode up, Mike, do you have any apocalypse activities you want to tell people to do this weekend?
Yes, I do. Finally, I have something new. So we talked about streaming shows, and we talked about how not many new original shows are getting watched a lot. Well, I have one for you that I think everybody will want to check out. WandaVision on Disney Plus is Marvel's first MCU TV series. I watched the first 2 episodes that came out last week. And I got to tell you, it's so interesting. The whole thing, you may have seen trailers for, is shot and presented like an old 50s style, Leave It to Beaver-esque type sitcom, with the canned laughter and like, the very like hokey, family life and everything. And you'll appreciate, Rich, even the styling of it. Like the camera doesn't have a lot of like modern camera angles and movements. It's all very like single camera setup where you see the whole like room at once, and the actors are, there in the set. They don't do a lot of like over the shoulder dramatic shots. It's all very, very 1950s sitcom style, black and white, everything. And the first episode, you go the whole time thinking it's just this, weird, hokey, reimagined thing. And then slowly they start creeping in little breaks in this sitcom world. Like Scarlet Witch will see like an object that's in full color instead of in black and white, or like the other characters will get like stuck in a loop. I don't want to give away too much. This is all stuff that's like happening in the pilot episode, so you don't have to worry too much about spoilers. So there's clearly something else going on here. And right away, I watched the first 2 episodes, and my Marvel mind is whirring. I'm like, where does this take place in the MCU? Is this a figment of Scarlet Witch's imagination? Vision had the Mind Stone. Is this, a side effect of breaking the Mind Stone? Like, what is the explanation for this? Is this multiverse? Is this just a weird side story? Um, Apparently, there was also a report that they were planning to tease this at the end of Endgame as a post-credit scene. So they originally envisioned this as being inserted directly into somewhere in this timeline and as tying into the movies and everything. And I'm really excited to see. Yeah, one of the biggest questions with this next phase of Marvel was, how are the TV shows going to integrate with the movies? And are they going to suffer in terms of quality or acting, or are they just going to be like cash grabs? Nope. WandaVision is the real deal. This is a highly produced, highly stylized, they're giving it the full MCU treatment. I can't recommend it highly enough. It was really, really intriguing first two episodes. And I really hope they keep up with those little dystopian cracks in the facade, ultimately leading up to like a reality shattering conclusion to the season. So highly recommend WandaVision. It's really, really cool stuff. What about you, Rich? What apocalypse activities do you have? Any shows or movies, games? What do you got?
Well, I'm going to re-recommend that everybody watch Cobra Kai. And the reason why I'm bringing it up again is because I am happy to say that Rachel and Rachel's family took my advice and gave Cobra Kai a chance, and they love it. So
Okay.
I'm thrilled that they got on board. I'm thrilled that they are now part of the Cobra Kai universe. And I want more people to be involved. This is one of the actually, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say this is the best revival of a
Wow.
of a past 80s entity that I have seen. It's that damn good.
Wow.
So
Okay.
go for it. I'm telling you, if you haven't, unless you don't like the Karate Kid, if you hated the Karate Kid, all right, then I can understand. But if you remotely loved the Karate Kid, if you remotely like the Karate Kid, give Cobra Kai a shot. I'm telling you, it's fantastic.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody should definitely add that to the list as well. Lots of good shows to keep people engaged during the second year of the pandemic.
And we're still trucking along.
That's right. We're still trucking along in the pandemic, and the Crispy Noodle is still trucking along as well.
That's right. But unfortunately for now, we got to start wrapping this up. This has been the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the pandemic virtual 2020/2021/ I don't know how long we're doing this version of the Crispy Noodle podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you're following us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And something else I want to just mention again. I'm sorry for the fact that I don't have my laptop. I assure you, the quality of our broadcasts are going to get jumped up the moment my laptop is back in my possession and we're rolling at 100% efficiency. So do stay tuned for that.
Yeah. You can also get the video version of this podcast on YouTube, where you can find other videos we've put up there as well. But you can also get the audio version on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. So make sure you're searching for, downloading, and subscribing to the Crispy Noodle podcast on the podcast service of your choice or on YouTube.
That's right. We also have a SoundCloud page. Check that out. We're available on Amazon devices. Check that
right.
out.
Everywhere. We're
yeah,
everywhere.
It feels like we are. So
Can't get away from us.
right. So bring us wherever you go. We're available.
That's right. That's right. So many ways to get in touch with and share the Crispy Noodle podcast. If you want to get in touch with us individually, you can find us on Twitter. You can send us your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories that we'll take under consideration. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I am at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on the Twitters and let us know what's happening. And if you give us a question to ask, we'll give you a shout out. So make sure you do that. But for right now, we got to wrap this up. This has been the Crispy Noodle. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. Anything left, Mike?
No, that's all. I'm good.
All right, that sounds good. And next week we'll know who's in the Super Bowl. So it's going to be
Yes, we will.
fantastic. So until then, enjoy the football games, enjoy the TV shows, and stay safe.
Yep.
We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Later. Bye-bye.